Hi, I'm Braylee. I'm from East Brookfield, Massachusetts. I've been riding for 3 years, racing for 1, and I'm training with Coach James from Moto Academy.
Right, remember, we have to lead with our head. That was one thing that we struggled with last week. So let's really focus on that, and then that inside elbow as well, the re-gripping. Do you remember the re-grip?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I want you to go as long as you can standing up. I'm probably going to limit you to about 10 minutes. So. Boys, I want you guys to take notes. This girl's got it figured out. I don't know why girls learn so much faster, but you have the perfect attack position. The only problem is that you're staying in the perfect attack position all the time. So I want to work the one-handed drill because it's going to show you that there is a bit of dynamic to it, and that just means that you do have to adjust constantly. So you're getting in this perfect position here and you're just staying there. So hop off for a sec. I'm just going to show you something really quick. When you do this drill, we really need to focus on keeping our feet nice and tight to the bike, gripping with our legs. But then as I'm in the seated position and I go to get back on the gas while coming out of the corners, it's really important that I lead with my head, right? Because if I don't, this isn't here. So that force is just gonna make me do this, right? And it's the same thing when you're standing up. I can't demonstrate that right now, I don't have a stand, but as you stand up, we need to bring our head a little bit further than over the crossbar pad, because if we don't, we're just gonna fly back this way. All right, so I want you to work one-handed. Let's see if we can do that same amount of time that you did standing up, because you did really well with that. If at any point you're, like as you're going over the jumps, if you need to, it's okay to put the hand on. This isn't, I'm not forcing you to do this, but I really encourage that you keep your hand here. I like to put my hand on my chest just because it reminds me to flex my core and keep my core braced so I'm nice and upright and proper. What I noticed was that you were doing a lot better in those left-hand turns than you were in the right-hand turns. Like this 180 right here, that one going into the woods, you would kind of stick your leg out, right? You just lack of confidence in that turn. And that's because as you get on the gas and you twist the throttle, that elbow drops. So the re-grip is really important for this drill. So just remember that, all right? But really good job. Really good job leading with your head. What I want you to do now is kind of put that all together. Stand where you would normally stand, sit where you would normally sit, but now that you have two hands on the bars, feel what it feels like now. So we're gonna work this corner specifically. I really want you to emphasize standing later. You're not sitting until after that last braking bump, getting into the turn. This is a right-hander, so remember that re-grip is really important. I want you to work feet on the pegs. So get off that rear brake nice and early. Set yourself up for the turn. Select your gear before you start braking. Do you feel your suspension like really compressing and rebounding? It's because you're riding like on top of the inside edge of the rut, and then you drop into the rut, and that's when your inside elbow drops as you're almost turning with the handlebars as well. So focus on leaning with that bike a little bit rather than doing this, because when you do this, your inside elbow is gonna drop. Your head will fall over, and that's why you're dabbing the foot. So try to find that balance a little better, all right? So focus on setting up a little bit wider and then just rolling into that turn. Keep that elbow up, but try to remain upright. So you're almost gonna position yourself on the outside corner of the seat rather than being right in the center. The only reason I say that is because there's nothing that holds you in and it just drifts out. What you're trying to do is turn like this with the handlebars, again, as you exit. So you're dropping that inside elbow, right? The head comes over and you wanna dab your foot. Good job not dabbing your foot, but really focus on leaning the bike underneath you and allow it to drift a little bit on the exit. You don't need to make a 90-degree turn and just to stay on the inside, all right? Actually, you can film this. Yeah, film this. I'm gonna spit wisdom here, son. Oh boy. All right? So you started like this with your feet out right next to your foot pegs in the video. I want you to focus on getting them right in there, nice and tight to the bike. Locked in front of those foot pegs. So being locked in that position and then squeezing is really important, right? That'll help you keep the bike straight and you're not gonna get thrown back in the seat. Another thing that's really important is being here instead of here, right? When you get on the gas, sometimes you're gonna either want to, like, especially when there's a deep rut, you're gonna wanna lean to one way or another, right? So we're looking ahead and then we're here so that when you get on the gas, this elbow isn't dropping and then our head's coming over and then we're falling to the right. Those were the two biggest things that I noticed with your start. I want you to also work on your clutch release because in the video it sounded like you dumped the clutch. I will say that a dirt start, you would have a faster release than on concrete, but you never just want to dump it and just let it go. You were nice and proper up here, so you didn't do any of this. So you maintained a pretty straight path. Don't be afraid to leave your legs down there for a little bit. If you watch some of those top guys even, they'll leave them down like probably 3/4 of the way down the straightaway just because they want to squeeze the bike. Last thing, the clutch release was way too fast. Did you feel how your RPMs were nice and high and then all of a sudden it was just like, ugh. So a little slower with that, okay? Maintain the throttle as well. You're not gonna be wide open, but pretty close to it, probably about here. Make sure you maintain the throttle and then you're regulating with the clutch so you're just not dumping it. It's that, all right? Woo! And that's how you start right there, kids. Perfect. Good job. All right, guys, we're here with
Braylee.
We're gonna just ask her a few questions here. I'd like to get to know my students a little better. You gotta build relationships here. First question. If you had $100 million tomorrow, what's the first thing you would buy?
New gear and helmets.
Okay, so she gets $100 million. I don't even know how many figures that is right now, but she's gonna buy new gear and helmets. Favorite snack while you're riding?
Grapes.
I love grapes. I can't eat them anymore because they make my throat really itchy, but I do love grapes. If you had a dream job, what would it be?
Zookeeper.
She would be a zookeeper. That's actually a really cool job. I've never thought of that. That's great. Last question. If you got to go on a vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
California or Florida for the tracks.
For the tracks. Okay, she's a die-hard rider, guys. This is Braylee. I'm Coach James with the Moto Academy. That was episode 5. Cut.